Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown, and as you can see, still in a very different setting, actually underneath a mango tree in Jamaica. Decided to just change things up a bit. Today, I want to talk to you about zones and the use of zones as a economic diversification tool, and specifically export diversification. Now, zones are very important, or can be, I should say, because it's a potential tool for such things in terms of driving economic diversification. Firstly, the regime that's set up has to be part of a wider economic drive, economic strategy. Typically, if that does not happen, zones won't work very well in terms of it being a tool to drive economic diversification. And when I say economic diversification, or specifically export diversification, I mean not just what you produce, changing what you produce, but how you produce, even the stuff that you already produce, changing it, being more efficient, but also where you export to, the opening up new markets, right? New markets. That will change, or should change, in terms of diversification. So you have a greater number of products being produced, goods and services being produced, being sent to even a wider market. Now, zones, being designated areas, are controlled spaces. So certain policies can be experimented with and tweaked as you go along. So this is why they're such a critical tool. Now, they are associated with incentives such as reduced corporate income tax and no duties on imported raw materials and things like that. This is what will draw the investment, whether local or foreign, to come into that zone. But of course, you have to have the necessary physical infrastructure and the soft infrastructure, the laws and so forth, that support these things. Now, trying to build out, this is the ideal. This is the most fantastic thing, and every government, every citizen wants this, where their whole country is developed all at once. But in reality, that's not necessarily going to happen. So with that, you create these zones which become a microcosm, or a display of the country at its best, the best infrastructure, the best laws, all of these different things that will help to drive exports, right? Or drive industrialization, it drive economic diversification. So you're going to attract industries that, new industries to you. As part of that, you're going to need training, skills upgrading, and so forth. So the economist Richard Hossman from the Kennedy School, Harvard Kennedy School, has a great little framework on how this is done. You can look that up. And essentially what he speaks to is how do you, or he answers the question, how do you move from the products, or the basket of products that you produce now, to the products that you want to produce in the future. And essentially what he speaks to is the accumulation of capabilities, and the capabilities cut right across the board. It is within government, in terms of what government is capable of doing, in terms of policy and policy development and the speed with which it can do it. It also speaks to companies. In fact, that's the main area, companies, right? But of course, the government has to facilitate all of that, particularly when it comes to training and incentivizing the accumulation of new skills, new capabilities for existing firms, but also attracting foreign firms to come in and set up in your country, typically in zones, and produce goods and services that you wouldn't otherwise. So you could attract somebody that, say you have a certain location, you can attract a port operator, right, to do transshipment of containers, right? Maybe you don't do that now. Maybe you have a mixed use port that's small, that handles your imports, exports. You could invite, a cruise terminal operator to come and operate a cruise pier. That, of course, is major capital investments, major infrastructure, right? But you could also bring in somebody that is going to process, and I'm under the mango tree, your mangoes. You have a lot of mangoes that grow, but of course, this does mean that your producers are going to have to adhere to certain standards, right? And then that's the role of government to put in those standards, ensure that the farmers can reach that standard, right? And then enforcing the standard and giving that the investor a certain assurance that, yeah, these standards are being adhered to. This is our framework in terms of how we do that, right? So zones definitely are a major tool for economic diversification, specifically export diversification. So if you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to see me do a particular topic, just leave me a comment down below and I'll get right back to you. Bye for now.